Welcome to episode 128 of the Inside Byte. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. How you doing this week?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing well. I just figured we'd share this stupid thing. I feel like that was so dumb that we were having an echo. We couldn't figure it out. And it was something so stupid. I just feel like I think it's so amusing when that happens in life. And it's also so annoying just with anything, you know?
Yeah,
you're looking for your keys or something. You find them in your jacket. You know what I mean? Like something dumb like that.
Bruh, in elementary, middle school, high school,
Right.
And you have your book bag on and then you're looking for your book bag or something to that level.
Something like that. Those are equally frustrating and satisfying, obviously, when you finally find it. But no, we got it figured out. But no, I'm good, man. Just I got 1 week till break, so I always try to get as much game time as I can in during those breaks. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That.
Cool. Christmas is right around the corner. I guess next week? Yeah.
This last week, and then we're there.
So how does that work for you? So Christmas falls on Monday. You know, I have that Monday off. I would have Christmas Eve, but it's Sunday. So I'm pretty much just going to have that Monday, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, we got, obviously, compared to normal people, it's still way better, obviously. But in terms of just in a vacuum, we get screwed this year because normally Christmas break is a little longer. But because of the way that Christmas and Christmas Eve land, it's not as long as normal, I think. So... yeah.
Do you go back after the first, the third or fourth? How does that work?
No, the second we go. Right the next day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we got a lot to go over. Figured we'd do end of year review, but not do picking our game of the year. Because I have a few things I want to finish up, and I'm really trying to decide between 2 or 3 things. And I don't want to say anything prior to this. But we're pretty much doing everything outside of naming our game of the year stuff. So even picking a top 5 from different platforms, unless we just don't have a total of 5 that we would even want to pronounce here. For example, my PlayStation hardly got used. We going into gameplay stats, all right? So my PlayStation's only at 40 hours compared to 2 or 3 or 400 on other platforms.
Right.
So there's not going to be a top 5 of PlayStation for me, only a game or 2 kind of deal. And then also Steam has yet to release their end of year stats. So that's another thing missing from this. But we're going to go ahead and go over Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, at least do our console stuff. Wanted to still do end of year stuff, still talk about a lot of our favorites throughout the year, all that kind of thing, but just not specifically say the best of our game of the year, but pretty much everything outside of that.
Okay.
Let's get into our 2023 year-end review.
Okay. You can do your Xbox one.
Okay.
I was going to say, you can do Xbox first because I don't have any Xbox because obviously I play it on PC. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're going to go platform, and we'll just ping back and forth between them. So I just have Xbox now. You play some Xbox exclusive stuffs on PC, but because you play it through Steam, we'll get all those stats at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So on Xbox console here, because Xbox is the weirdest of the bunch, is because Xbox is now more of a platform than a specific system nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah.
So because of that, I'm curious. So my number 1 most played game on Xbox is Starfield at 73 hours.
No surprise there.
Now, does that take when I'm playing on the Xbox platform, but on my PC, does it take those hours as well? I'm curious about that because it looks like it does, because that seems about on par if I'm going between the two. Because I don't think I specifically played 73 hours just on my Xbox. So I think it is bringing the two together. Anyway, so yeah, number 1, Starfield at 73 hours. Super loved it. I know there is so much talk on it not being that good, it being midfield, all of that. I don't agree. I mean, yes, I'm trying to throw them some sort of bone. I could understand maybe certain people not being into it because of it's heavily RPG based, right? It's not really about I don't know. It's not like Call of Duty shooting. Though the shooting mechanics are far superior to anything prior. Of like, if you were to play Fallout 3 or 4, for example, that's a joke in like the way it handles gunplay. Like, this actually handles it like a normal game. I mean, it's not, I mean, maybe to the levels of a top tier shooter like a Destiny or a current COD of Duty, but it doesn't feel bad at all. I mean, Fallout feels bad. So it's like somewhere in the middle there. You know, I guess it doesn't feel as tight as Doom as well, something like that. But
Of
I'm
course,
trying to
yeah.
think what to compare it to. I guess it would compare to maybe, let's say, a Resistance series, right?
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like 1, 2, or 3, like they were good at the time of release, but things have gotten better since then. So I would maybe put it in that pocket if I were to try to describe. But you know, it's way more on the RPG elements of, you know, about equipment, stats to the weapons, modifying a million different stats and all of that to get a superior like damage output. Anyway, I'm trying to think of where I could like crap on this game. Maybe of it's not good at its onboarding of like describing to a player, here's exactly how all of this works.
Right.
But I don't know how they'd be able to do that good because things so in depth. What are you going to get hit with 30 prompts and try to memorize all 30
annoying.
Prompts? I don't really know how you handle all that because the systems go so deep. This is one of the probably deepest systems when it comes to certain aspects compared to any other game that's out nowadays. It goes really, really in depth in like shipbuilding mechanics. But I guess they could be 2 or 3 more prompts than what they are, but maybe trying to find that fine balance of like through updates of like maybe they can do a little, but I don't know. There's that fine line, and they could definitely be in the opposite of like, you know, a lot of people complain about Monster Hunter, for example, of like 10 hours of tutorials before you even get to actually playing the game. And I can see Starfield not wanting to be, we don't want to give you a 30-hour tutorial because that's what it would be if you were to try to describe everything that you had to use. So
of course,
I don't know. So I'm definitely a defender of Starfield. I really enjoy it over anything. I just enjoy all of the questing of just like where the stories lead me with this character and that character and stuff like that, which is what an RPG is all about. And so for me, it nails being a good RPG. So
sure. Fair enough.
Anyway, number 2 game here, Hogwarts Legacy, 71 hours. 2 hours below Starfield.
Yeah,
and that's it. It's like, wow, I put 71 hours into Hogwarts. That's a lot. But I loved it. I mean, this game, yes, the gameplay mechanics are not that great. Pretty shallow compared to with Starfield of all these layers when it comes to this or that. But Hogwarts super shines, and it's just atmosphere and aesthetics and making you feel like you're a part of the world. They do a phenomenal job at that.
I think they nailed that. Yeah. I think most people who played this game and like it agree that it's not the best game in terms of like how it feels, but they really nailed the world and the, you know, the characters and everything. I feel that way about it. So
like Starfield's like 9 out of 10 on my levels. Hogwarts a solid 8 out of 10 if I was to throw numbers here. And then Diablo 4 at 49 hours. I would throw somewhere in the middle there, let's say 8.5, and where I would rate that. But pretty solid titles. Loved all 3. Diablo 4 is definitely like, I'm still currently playing it. You know, it's just a matter of me and a friend of mine. So he just comes over maybe once a week and we just put a lot more hours into it. And then we just run that cycle. So I don't like playing it by myself. So it's just a co-op thing with a friend. So 50 hours of it being that, I think that's pretty good. So
yeah, I'd say so.
Total time, this was where I played the most on console at 423 hours with 92 games total that I played. Now, Game Pass is a big contributor to that, as well as I am constantly streaming it over to my Steam Deck, and Xbox is really good on its network side, so it feels great whenever I do that. So probably half, if not more than half, was actually on my Steam Deck than actually playing it through the TV itself, but still playing from my Xbox kind of thing. So, but I think I've mentioned that before. I mean, Steam Deck gets a lot of play with me.
Sure.
So,
Thing's awesome, man.
Yep. So total gamer score, I added 3,802 points there. I've gained 182 achievements over this last year, and I've gotten 6,307 reward points, which that is what I can turn in for for the system. So like every like 2 or 3,000 points, I can cash it in for like $5 kind of deal. And then so I've gotten like, 15, $20, I want to say, that I've been able to put towards this or that. Nothing major, but it's neat. Kind of the same deal with Switch. I'd say it's pretty on par between the two of like the money you get kicked back whenever you buy stuff. So
gotcha.
Now reward points, I can earn points through different means other than just buying. But
yeah, you have a few different ways, right? Like,
yeah.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have anything Xbox here, but you can go ahead and do your PlayStation bit, and then I'll do mine.
All right. So again, I'll just preface this by saying 99% of the games I play is on Steam. So my lists are pretty insignificant at this point. But that being said, I played Horizon Forbidden West the most this year, which I was just kind of behind on, and I beat it, played 43 hours. I actually ended up really liking that game. I mean, a long time ago I talked about it. Final Fantasy 16, which I have vowed to come back and see it through. I played 12 hours. So I will be returning to that game, I promise, at some point. Just don't know when exactly. And Spider-Man 2, I literally have only played 2 hours so far. I just picked it up and put it down, and no other reason then. I just am playing other things. So definitely have to get to those two. But yeah, that was pretty much the majority of what I played on PlayStation this year. Not that much, really.
So you have a total time of 57 hours and a total of 4 games.
The last game was Shredder's Revenge, and it was like less than an hour, so I don't even include it. Even though that game was fun, my brother and I couldn't link up to play it. So 57 hours PlayStation, where I'm sitting at 40 hours PlayStation. So pretty close there. Okay, but yeah, again, you're dumping all of your time into Nintendo and Steam, which we will now get in. Well, my PlayStation real quick. So Final Fantasy 16 hours compared to your 12 hours. So close enough. Close enough.
There. Yeah. Do you remember exactly where you left off in 16?
Okay, so I want to say, and you tell me if, just to kind of, because I feel that sometimes when I don't play a game for a while and I have the intention of going back, whenever I start forgetting the story, even if I'm not going to play it today, I'll try to remind myself so that I feel like I still want to go back to it, if that makes sense. So the last thing I remember is we went to this sort of like chamber or something. Clive went there.
Okay.
For some reason, I can't remember the reason. Like it was like a descending place. He got to the bottom and then he got a new ability now.
Okay.
Can you remind? I mean, I don't think anyone would care. Can you remind me again? What is it that we were doing there? Does that matter? Is that spoilery?
Honestly, I don't remember though. I mean, dude, it's been months since even I've played, so I really don't remember. I remember being after that bit, you get to a bit more of an open area where it's like a decent sized field, and I went from one town to another that had like a few houses and did some crystal stuff and got the girl back in my party because she kind of leaves your party for a bit and then comes back. Never joins your party, sorry, but just kind of walks along with you. You know, the main girl in the game. What's her name? Your sister?
God, I can't even remember her name.
Yeah. Is it your sister? I don't see. That's the thing. I don't remember any of this stuff.
No, she just she grew up with you. She's not actually your sister.
It is.
Are we talking about the girl who was the icon and she was being
yes,
exploited and then she came back, right?
Yeah, so you go with her for a bit. She does her own thing. You join back with her, and
Jill. Jill, is that her name?
Jill,
yeah.
And I've joined back with her in this big field kind of stuff, and that's what I last remember. Right. But anyway, not that this is bad whatsoever. All right, but yeah, 16 hours Final Fantasy 16, and then 15 hours of Final Fantasy 14 on my PlayStation. Now, I've definitely put more time than that on my actual computer, but in terms of PlayStation, 15 hours there. And then Twisted Metal 2 at 4 hours. I basically played and beat it with Outlaw, who is my favorite character in Twisted Metal, and I definitely I don't know. I just wanted to go back and see how it held up and try to complete it at least with one character. And it was pretty fun. I think it.
Okay.
I mean, the controls are really bad, but other than that, it holds up pretty well. So anyway, so total time 40 hours. Like I said, 13 games in total I played, and then total trophies was 34 that I've earned the year. So.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
And then Nintendo. Let's go back with you there.
You want to? Okay. So Nintendo for me. So most played game, no surprise, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I actually didn't realize that I put 50 hours into it. I feel like I
That's
barely
a good
scratched
amount
the
of time.
surface.
I mean, this game's gigantic.
I've done one main dungeon, and I was just starting a second one. And I've done a ton of shrines, ton of exploration, bunch of side quests. So
I was asking about that an episode or two back, to where like I was talking about the fire temple stuff. Are you getting into that right now?
Is that the Gerudo
Yeah.
area? Yeah, I haven't actually got to the temple yet, but I'm in the town right now, you know, kind of like investigating. Like
okay, you're aware of it, at least.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that game, still amazing game. I like the way I've done it. Meanwhile, Breath of the Wild was the only game I played for that whole time. Just got obsessed with it. I kind of like that Zelda is there. I kind of just come to it and come and go. And I never am bored of it, never tired of it. It's just a huge game, obviously. So, yeah. Next, I have Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. I kind of do something similar with this game. There's an overwhelming amount of songs in it. I always just go back and play the DLC songs when they come out. Otherwise, I'll play 2 or 3 songs at a time and just put it down. And I still have probably like 100 songs left to play, something ridiculous like that. So the game is really good, and it's one of the best values I've ever seen in a game. It's crazy how much content you get. So yeah. And then finally, Super Mario Wonder, 28 hours. I got super obsessed with this game. I 100%ed it. I thought it was a really, really great game. Possibly one of my favorite games of the year.
I mean, you beat it pretty quickly in terms of like the time span.
Yeah.
But 28 hours in a 2D Mario, think about that.
Yeah.
That's really high. That's maybe that could be the highest you've ever put into a 2D Mario.
I think you could be right, honestly, because I've 100%ed a bunch of them, and I don't remember putting that much time in. So I definitely think it's
that's like the length of an RPG. Into a 2D Mario game. Yep. That's a lot.
And it wasn't like I was dilly-dallying for a long time or something. You know, I was doing every level. Most times I'd get everything on the first run through. I might go back later and do a level over. But yeah, awesome game.
I mean, to compare it to something, a 2D Mario, 8 hours max. I mean, you're talking.
They're usually way faster than this. And I will say, I know we're not there yet. And like you, I still have to play other games. But I don't know. At first, the thought of putting a 2D Mario in the running for Game of the Year, I was like, I don't know if I would do that. But honestly, the game was good enough that I would seriously consider possibly having it be my my favorite game of the year. So
what we're going to do is a top 3 from each of us, and we'll just have to rank them. So just be prepped for that.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Okay. So yeah, you have 170 hours total.
Oh yeah. 170 hours total
on Switch, and 10 games. That's pretty good. Between 10 games at 170, you definitely took each game pretty far. So
yep. I know another one was Bayonetta 3. Can't remember what other games that were in there, but yeah. Ones were in there. Definitely use my Switch a lot. It's a great system. So
okay. Well, my Switch here got a lot of love. 241 hours total between 47 games. Nintendo had a killer year. Really did.
Yeah.
So most played game, Tears of the Kingdom as well, at 72 hours. And the only thing, maybe I have some more shrines than you or something, but I only did 2 temples. I have yet to do the other 2. And I've just done a crap ton of exploring because it's so fun to explore. So, I mean, 300 hours, probably 400 hours if you really think about it, of trying to complete everything. Maybe even more than that, right? Because it's like you have the full base of, like, let's just say Breath of the Wild, right? Of just the land part alone. You're talking 200 hours. And then much less the sky and the underground. You're talking not even a minimum of 100 hours per. You're probably talking 200 hours if you were to go through that entire underground. That is a very, very meaty part of the game is the underground.
Yeah.
Much less probably another 50 or 60 in the sky trying to complete those different sky island things. So I really think you could get a solid 500 hours and it still felt pretty fresh with that amount of time. So
anyway. Totally. 100%. Game is freaking gigantic.
Yeah. So number 2 top played game, Pikmin 4 at 17 hours. Again, I have huge praise. I also wanted to shout out the Game Awards whenever it was going through all the categories. I mean, we said it, but it did win top strategy game, which I feel it's my top strategy game this year easily. Pikmin 4, super strong title. And then number 3 game that I played, F-Zero 99 at 16 hours. The fact that I played an F-Zero SNES style game for 16 hours, that's a lot.
That's awesome.
But I really, really enjoy it. It's hands down the best 99 thing they've done. It's great. Anyone who still has yet to touch it, and I mean, I've definitely said it on this show multiple times. I never gave a crap about F-Zero on Super Nintendo. I thought it was very just basic and whatever, and I didn't really get into it, honestly, till GameCube with GX. I went back and played the N64 version and thought it's pretty good. But it's not nearly as good as GX. And then the Super Nintendo, I always felt was pretty basic. But this F-Zero 99, they definitely fleshed the game out in so many. They just added a lot of gameplay layers. They added a lot of competitive layers. It's awesome. Very, very good.
It seems like so much fun. I still have yet to try that game for some reason, but I will, based on what you're saying, what everyone else is saying, just great things about it. So.
Yeah. Ton are still playing it. Like if you go in there and just queue up for a match. I mean, I played a few days ago and it was still 30 seconds and I was in. And you have to find 99 players. And so the fact that there's that much still, I mean, that game has got to be incredibly popular for Nintendo right now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's my Nintendo breakdown there of the stats. And then let's get into our actual top picks from each platform that we played from in terms of just our personal favorites kind of deal.
Sure. So I guess my list is not that long really. Or actually, I'm sorry. Why don't you do Xbox first? Because I don't have Xbox. Go ahead. You can do that first.
So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, Starfield, Cocoon, Hogwarts Legacy, and Diablo 5. Those were that's my top 5 that I played on Xbox. 3 of those being exclusive. The other 2, like Hogwarts and Diablo, that's where I just chose to play. Because again, I can shoot it really easily to my Steam Deck, and I seem to get the best stream performance if I do it that way compared to from my PC or from PlayStation, for example. The PlayStation streaming isn't as good. Now, maybe Portal, maybe it shines there. I don't know. But in terms of Steam Deck, it's not bad. It works. It's good. But it's not as good as my Xbox streaming to Steam Deck kind of thing. So I still choose to buy a lot of games there and then just shoot it over to my Steam Deck. And now you're talking 10 to 15 hours of playing on my Steam Deck before that thing dies and playing
awesome,
way better graphics than what I could do native, on the Steam Deck. So I like to do that. So
anyway. Definitely a way better choice.
Yeah. So yeah, PlayStation, where are you sitting PlayStation?
So PlayStation, Final Fantasy 16. That's it. No, Spider-Man 2, obviously what I played I liked, but those 2 were probably all I played on there from this year that released, kind of a slower year, I would say, for releases.
It's pretty weird. I mean, we're both in this camp of not really using our PlayStation much, but we are multi-console PC. We play on anything and everything.
On anything, yeah.
Obviously, if we just had a PlayStation, it would be a lot more.
Well, yeah, it'd be different, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My PlayStation, the only thing that I actually enjoyed playing on it a lot, Final Fantasy 14. 16, like I said, I'm just kind of over it. So I just kind of have 14 here as a top pick for PlayStation this year. Where are you sitting, Nintendo? Some of your
favorites. Okay. So Super Mario Wonder, I already explained how much I love that game. Legend of Zelda, also amazing. And Theater of the Final Bar Line. So I thought those 3 were a good combo, You have I feel like you have Super Mario Wonder is the quick, kind of linear game. Legend of Zelda, complete opposite, huge open world game. Theater Rhythm, quick pick up and put down kind of game, So
Yeah. Good
thought it was a
variety
good
there.
combination. I still think it's funny that people out of the loop still say stuff like, well, Nintendo didn't release any games that, I would like. And it's just so funny. It has like such a variety, especially
No, we
this year,
just got that WarioWare game.
That
Speaking
too.
of which, I should be getting here soon because it's about to hit Christmas, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all right. And my picks from Nintendo: Pikmin 4, Fire Emblem Engage. Huge shout out Fire Emblem Engage. Again, I think the story's kind of whatever, but that's not what the games are really about. It's definitely more about strategy and gameplay, and it super shines in that department. Super Mario Wonder, of course. Metroid Prime Remastered, huge shout out there. And then, of course, Tears of the Kingdom. That'd be like my top 5 from Nintendo this year.
There you go.
Okay. Ongoing games, just basically anything that's come out before this year that you're still playing.
Yeah, so I put Horizon there because I had spent a ton of time playing it this year, even though it dropped last year technically.
Okay.
Halo Infinite always still jump back in, especially they added Halo 3 maps, which I love so much. They like redid the big Halo 3 maps and brought it into Infinite, which has been a huge hit for me. I've been really enjoying that. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I've been revisiting it every time they release new tracks.
Yep.
Trying to go for the 3 stars, on all the CCs, and that's been a blast, man. Really, really great game. So yeah, been playing those.
I actually just reinstalled Halo Infinite, and I'm also curious, how's it doing on Steam Deck? I'm curious if I can actually get 60 FPS on it now.
I don't know, because I haven't been able to play on Steam Deck ever because it wasn't working because it had. Oh no, not Infinite. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the Master Chief Collection. I actually haven't tried Infinite on the Steam Deck.
I remember trying it at release, and like I was getting pretty close, like 45, 50 FPS, but I want a smooth 60. Even at lowest settings, I don't care because it's a small screen. But I'm curious if I can get that thing going 60 on Steam Deck. If so, I could put a lot more time into it that way. So I want to give that a shot. But yeah, my ongoing Halo Infinite, Final Fantasy 14, Splatoon 3. I do play a lot of Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that's where I'm going there.
Right.
In terms of the year itself, I mean, is there anything more we can really talk on just what you think about this year in gaming? I mean, obviously this was one of the strongest years we may have ever had. I think it actually is the strongest year in gaming that we've ever had. If you were to just look at the amount of, 8s, 9s, and 10s of this year compared to any year prior, I feel like it's like 3 times the amount of the usual. So
it's way up there.
Yeah.
I will say, I think that this year also, I don't know for sure, but it seems like it's the year that I started playing new franchises or catching up on games that had come out already to play the new one. I did that a few times this year, which I was always happy to do, start something new. Like the most recent one being Alan Wake, a game must be really good or really intriguing to make you want to go back and play everything that came before it to then play the new one, So I've done that a few times this year, or even right now. I just started playing The Messenger, because I really want to play Sea of Stars. I know you don't have to play it, but I've heard they're both great games, so why not,
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to this year, not only for the great games we got, but also some of the games maybe want to go back and try older games, whether they were in the same series or maybe a similar genre that's like people have like, have you ever played this? And go back and try it. So yeah, it's been great, man.
And with Steam not releasing its stats yet and us not getting to the Steam stuff, that's easily your biggest platform. And if it's not mine, it would be a number 2. I'm very curious on that. Like, because my Xbox is like 400 and something hours. So I'm curious if Steam gets up to those numbers. But even without, if not, it would definitely be number 2. And we both just use PC stuff a lot. So we didn't even get into any of that. So any of the stuff we've talked now, Resident Evil 4 Remake isn't a part of that. Like you said, Alan Wake 2 is not a part of that. There's definitely some titles that once the Steam stuff comes out that we also could talk on a lot. So, okay. And which we'll do whenever Steam releases that. I'm expecting next episode us getting into our Steam stuff.
Yeah, I think I got it last year on the 26th or 20, somewhere around there. So I assume next week we'll have it.
Yep. Okay, that's it for
news?
end of year review. Let's get into the news. I mean, you can take this first one if you want.
Sure. So an update on The Last of Us
Before you
Online.
start, were you thinking this actually happening? I wasn't expecting this. I was thinking,
No.
okay, delay, but I wasn't
That's what I
expecting
thought.
this.
I thought the game probably started off as one thing, and I thought that maybe they were getting feedback and they wanted to make it more ambitious, maybe, and maybe it was turning into a bigger thing. So I thought, okay, it sucks that we're waiting so long, but no problem. They'll get it out eventually. But no, I was not expecting this. So I guess we'll fill you guys in. So basically, we realized, an update on The Last of Us Online. We realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We've made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on that game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially our dedicated The Last of Us factions community who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studio as we were looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background on how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As the multiplayer team iterated on their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized. The gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. That's kind of what I thought had happened, right? The ambitiousness of it got bigger. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched this project. The learnings and investments in technology from this game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction we are headed in as a studio. We have more than one ambitious brand new single player game that we're working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful to our community for your support throughout the years. So I guess for me, when I read that, I understand what they're saying towards the end there about, we had to make a decision about being a single player studio, whatever. Okay, I get that. However, there's have to be people here smarter than what they're putting out to understand when you're managing this, like, what, you didn't think of this before ever? You didn't understand the way that an online multiplayer game works? So it's just really irresponsible. It's really funny to see a lot of the PlayStation fans come out and like defend this. Like, there's nothing wrong, no big deal. Well, I wasn't that excited for it anyway. And well, I don't care. I'll just wait for their single. I don't know. I think if Xbox or Nintendo did something like this, it would be a disaster. I think it would be a mess.
Well, because, think how long it's been now since their last project, right? I guess you can look at a remake, but you know what I mean? Like, Last of Us Part 2 came out how long back?
2020. So it's been almost 4 years or let's say 3.5 years. Excuse me.
Yeah. And then their last release before that, you're talking way back PS3 days. So it's like, you got Uncharted 4 there between that. So it's like Last of Us, Uncharted 4, then Last of Us 2. So you got 3 games from them within the last 10 years? Well, no, Last of Us original, when did that?
Last of Us was 2013.
Okay, so
Uncharted 4.
And within those 10 years, that's what it would be. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Uncharted 4 was 2016. And then Last of Us 2 was 4 years later after that.
Okay.
So we had 3 years, 4 years.
Now, I want to go back to this paragraph. And ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come. I disagree very hard with that. You don't have to do that. First of all, you can do a Last of Us live service game, but that's not what you have. You could do an online Last of Us game, but it not be live service. It just be like any other online game.
It just has servers running.
Yeah, you have servers, you have different game modes, you release it. Live service is a different pocket. Why does this have to be that? So there's one. Now, 2, if that was the idea from the beginning for it to be something you're going to be supporting for a long time, why the shift of like, well, we don't want to do that because we want to focus on live service? Wouldn't you have known this 4 years ago? Like, which direction you wanted to take? If you were trying to do a live service game, you would have definitely already went into that mindset, right, of like, well, it's going to be something we support for years. Why the change? Did it not? I don't. That's where I'm so confused.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
that,
I don't know.
it's one of two paths here. It's either like, oh well, it wasn't going to be a live service game, and it was just going to be a normal online thing. Who then? Is Sony forcing you? Right. That's like the only thing I'm thinking is like maybe that's why it's coming off this way is because they can't say, well, Sony's forcing us to do live service, and maybe they weren't. Maybe they were making an online factions game, right? And then
Yep.
maybe Sony's forcing their hand of like, well, we're doing live service because that's their new agenda, right? Is like they have like 10 projects of live service games, this being one of the ones that they're trying to do. And probably being their biggest, they were trying to press the hardest on them. And maybe Naughty Dog's just like, look, we don't want to do this. And they just kept fighting for years. And eventually they're Sony's like, well, okay, you can do single player, and then they fell off completely. I'm guessing that's how it happens because nothing else makes sense to me. If you would have known this from the start that it was going to be something you support for years and it'd be a live service kind of thing, why did the sudden shift now? Like, did you think that you would somehow be able to do both at once? Like, make single player games that take years to create, but somehow also on the side actively come up with content like weekly kind of thing. That feels impossible unless you just have like hundreds of people on that team.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's what happened. I think as they were just making a normal factions online thing, and maybe Sony kept trying to force it to be live service, right? And that's why they bought Destiny so they could have them be a huge resource when it comes to helping other people make live service games. And so I think I'm right on that. I think they were getting upset about Sony forcing them to be live service.
I think that's what it sounds like to me, but it's just unfortunate that we're not getting this at all after waiting so long. So it sounds like they're saying that they have other things they're working on, but how much time was taken away from that for this?
Years and at least 100 million. You're talking tons of money down the drain and tons of time down the drain. If it led to this decision of canceling, just revert back to making it not live service and release it anyway as just an online game. And it would fix all of this. So
that's it. I don't think it's that hard of a problem to solve, but what do we know?
It's better than just scrapping it and all of that money going for no reason, right? It's not like, look, Microsoft can fall back on all of its other products, right? Xbox is like the smallest thing when it comes to Microsoft as a whole. They got Office, they got Windows, all of that mess. Now, Sony, I mean, PlayStation is their biggest. With PlayStation being the most important, I mean, pouring all that money and just throwing it all away, that's way too important. I don't know. That just seems like a terrible decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless the game was just really just that bad, and just maybe that's another key factor we just don't know, because how would we know? Maybe it just wasn't a good game.
Yeah, maybe they're saving us from something really bad.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's not what they're saying. But would they say that anyway if the game is bad? No. So
yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. We'll look forward to the next thing, whatever it is, I guess.
I mean, it's gonna be Last of Us Part 3, as it should.
Sure.
And again, Last of Us Part 2, them remastering and put it on PC. I think that is good to do. I mean, especially if it's just a $10 upgrade on PlayStation, and then PC, I guess you gotta buy again. But
yeah, well, we don't have a date for the PC one yet, right? There's no confirmation or anything. Yeah.
I mean, do we even know it's actually coming to PC? Let me see.
I actually don't know.
Okay. A PC port does not appear to be in the cards at this time. No, so we don't know.
Yeah, they'll probably announce it a little bit later.
You would assume. The problem is how big is the wait, because with Sony's current cadence, it seems to be like 2 years or so, which nobody's going to want to wait 2 years for a Last of Us 2 PC port. So,
but the Last of Us remake, came a little bit later. But to be fair, they announced that right away, so who knows?
Yeah, that's not the case here, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm just guessing 2 years. Who knows?
Right.
Okay, next story here. There's not too much to say on terms of reading with this news story, but just E3 is now officially over.
Dun, dun, dun. We saw it coming for a few years.
Yeah, we had a couple of that fake E3 that we cover that felt very half-assed and whatever. And now they're just, it's just COVID happened, went away, tried to come back, just never could. Obviously, it's a very different landscape because originally the whole point of E3 was the fact of people trying to get others excited about their game in terms of selling it, of like, okay, Walmarts and Targets and Best Buys and whatever, making sure that it's stocked on these shelves. So you have different people coming to this event, trying to shine light on so many things to have it all flowing. Now, because everything's online, there's kind of like, well, what's the purpose of it being at a physical location? That's all their thought. My answer to that is there's a big reason for it to be on location because it's all like live events happening and us watching and making, like, bringing the community together. I think it's very important. I hate all of this staggered BS. I definitely want it to be centralized and be an event that you look forward to each year. Then it be, split across 30 events throughout the whole year. Like, that's not nearly as exciting. And you can't really set up events when it comes to this or that of it being so split. Like, I hate the way it is now. And now it's over completely. Well, now it's just even worse unless Game Awards now becomes that thing that E3 once was when it comes to now having a big event and it being at a certain time so we could all pay attention at once.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I really have to say about it. I'm pretty
E3.
sad about E3 going on.
It sucks. It sucks. Yeah. I really used to enjoy having it, all packed into the week and something to look forward to. But yeah, looks like it's over. So What can you do? All right, next up, Platinum Games co-founder Hideki Kamiya reveals why he left the studio. More than 2 months after leaving Platinum Games, co-founder and the 104-101 and Bayonetta director Hideki Kamiya has revealed why he left the studio. In a new interview with IGN, he told the publication he decided to leave because I felt that the direction the company was heading was different from my beliefs as a developer. Without that element of trust, I couldn't continue working there, and so I left so that I could continue working in what I considered to be the right way. Kamiya said, I don't think of games as products, but rather as works of art. I want to put my artistry into games and deliver games that can only be made by myself so that players can enjoy Hideki Kamiya games exactly as they are. I decided to leave the company and forge my own path to continue making games that reflect the developers who made them. Kamiya announced in September that he was leaving the company. His final day was October 12th, and that same day he revealed he had started a YouTube channel. Throughout his final month with Platinum, his departure and creation of the Hideki Kamiya channel, Kamiya hadn't revealed why he left the studio, leaving fans questioning the decision. Thanks to this new interview with IGN, we know it was about a creative direction. Elsewhere in the interview, Kamiya said he had many deep discussions with Platinum president Atsushi Inaba about his potential departure, deciding to leave only after the two agreed. Inaba also had his own set of beliefs as the head of the company, Kamiya told IGN. Although his beliefs differed from my own, we talked about it thoroughly, so we were both satisfied with the conclusion we reached. Kamiya said the reaction from the development teams at Platinum was one of sadness, with some even crying in his office while talking to him about it. Despite the sadness, Kamiya said he doesn't regret his decision to quit. Well, you know what? Honestly, if you're going to leave a company because you feel like you can't do what you want to do in a game, and you're also saying you consider games to be more than just games, just more artwork, then I'd say that's totally fair. I don't want him to not make the game how he wants it to, or else we'd never have gotten something like probably Bayonetta or Wonderful 101 or any of those games,
It makes me definitely believe that the big wigs over at Platinum were just caring about money and trying to get him to do things that he didn't want to do.
Yep, I think that's exactly what it is. And he's just being nice in his way that he's saying it.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him then for leaving, I mean, he's probably go off and do his own thing and make a great game somewhere, It's so dumb, though, whenever they do this, whenever you have, like a Kojima or Kamiya or, let's say, God forbid, I know Miyazaki was to, let's say, From Software was to, like, start trying to push him in a way that he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
It's, like, so dumb. Like, let these guys do what they do. Clearly, they know what they're doing. You
I
know?
mean, that's why BioWare even fell apart, is because they kept being forced to do crap they didn't want to do. And look where they are now, right? It's like, when are they ever going to learn that somebody has to be passionate for an art project to become great? Like, if there's no
Right.
passion there, it's not going to be a good product. That's way more important than you trying to force them to do things they don't want to do. You're not going to make money in the end, and now you're just going to lose on both sides of the fence.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Agreed. It's too bad.
Yep. All right. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy Definitive Edition, now available on iOS, Android, and Netflix. Now, I also wanted to take the time to say that apparently I keep hearing and seeing from so many sources that the Definitive Edition is now apparently great. They've been patching it this whole time, and it's apparently in good shape. And I want to test it out myself, because I would love to go back and play. Maybe not GTA 3 as much, because that's kind of where this new vision sort of started. But Vice City and San Andreas, especially San Andreas, I think that'd be fantastic to go back to and play. I'm curious how it holds up today. But I think they're fixed, and everyone keeps saying they're fixed. And I want to give it a shot for myself and see what I think. Because if they are, that'd be pretty fun to go back to. Now, I'm definitely not playing it on iOS and Android and Netflix, whatever. But it did release on those platforms. But I'm just, I think I'm going to start it up here. I just don't know. I don't want to buy the whole collection. Can't you buy them separately? I would like to just buy Vice
I don't
City,
know,
just to
actually.
kind of get me into the mode of GTA 6.
Right. Right.
I would like to do that. So anyway, I'll figure it out. But I'm intrigued to go back. So, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember I bought it and I returned it because it was in such bad shape. All right. Next up, developer Hexworks and publisher CI Games have launched the season of Revelry in its RPG Souls like Lords of the Fallen. New quests, weapons, armor, spells, snowball fights. That's random. And more. 6 new spells, 3 new projectiles, new boss weapon abilities, seasonal decorations. Plus, it's the only part of this free 2-part update with the Trial of the 3 Spirits launching next week. The Trial of the 3 Spirits update includes 3 new quest lines, 3 new armor sets, 3 new weapons, each representing one of the 3 gods. Arias, Radiance, and Adders Rogers, however you say that, and the mysterious Umbral. Plus, players will be able to change their character's name, body shape, and gender, skin tone, hair color, and other physical attributes, but only after completing a new quest to find the shards of the Mirror of Distortion. Elsewhere in the Trial of the 3 Spirits, players will be able to use the new Grievous attacks. Hexworks says every family weapon has 2 unique finishers, one for single-handed wielding and one for dual wielding. Another community sought request coming in this update is a storage box that allows players to deposit up to 2,000 items in the Skyrest Bridge coffer. Finally, players will be able to rebind gamepad buttons starting with the Trial of the 3 Spirits update, and they can launch snowballs at enemies and invaders using the new snowball throwable. Lords of the Fallen 2023 Season of Revelry update patch and new quest weapons, armor spells. After this update, Hexworks says content will continue to hit Lords of the Fallen in 2024 with the rollout of the remaining new features and enhancements laid out in the content plan announced last month. This includes refinements to PvP and PvE, the release of a new Game Plus modifier system, and more. Lords of the Fallen 2023 Season of Revelry update patch, new quest weapon. Oh, shoot, I'm just reading the same thing again. Lords of the Fallen hit PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on October 13th. And part 1 of the Season of Revelry, Offerings of Arias, is live in game right now. Well, that's cool that they're still supporting the game, you know? I'm curious to play it sometime.
I'm interested in playing this, but I'm surprised that such a huge amount of content is still being pushed to a game in this style, right? I mean, it's a Souls type game, but it's like, this is sounding very live servicey for such a title like this. It's pretty cool, actually. So, anyway,
Yep. No, that is really cool. I actually really like that. So,
yep. Okay.
Very cool.
Ex Machina Hereditary film distributor A24 is partnering with Kojima Productions for Death Stranding's movie. Kojima Productions also confirmed the news on a separate blog post on its website. It says the A24 film promises to delve into the mystery surrounding the apocalyptic event called Death Stranding, which blurred the lines between life and death and brought forth nightmarish creatures into a world on the brink of collapse. In the blog, Kojima writes, A24 was born into this world about 10 years ago. The presence is singular within the industry. They are like no other. The films they are delivering to the world are high in quality and very innovative. I have been attracted to their creations and they have been inspired by my work. Their innovative approach to storytelling aligns with Kojima Productions and has been going on for the last 8 years. Now we are making a Death Stranding movie together. There are a lot of game adaptation films out there, but we are creating is not just a direct translation of the game. The intention is that our audience will not only be fans of the games, but our film will be for anyone who loves cinema. We are creating a Death Stranding universe that has never been seen before, achievable only through the medium of film. It will be born.
All right.
And we also got that Death Stranding 2 also being worked on.
We did.
Seems like we're getting a lot, and I am definitely not going to complain because Death Stranding, again, if I were to think of my favorite PS4 exclusive, it's probably that game.
I'm right there with you with the excitement over Death Stranding, man. I really can't wait. So I'm excited for anything related.
So curious what Death Stranding 2 is going to do, because there's no way Kojima's just going to be like, oh, here's more of the same. It's not happening. I mean, we pretty much got to see the conclusion to what the hell is happening with the game, which we can't get into because it's very, very spoiler if you get into all that. But
yeah,
I'm so lost on, well, what do you do from here? So maybe it's not a continuation. Maybe it's more because, again, you're doing a film and all this other stuff. So maybe the sequel is more just... I doubt he's going to do what everyone's doing when it comes to like separate timelines and metaverse shit, right? I mean, I think we would have known by now if that's the direction it's going. I don't think it's that, but I'm trying to think, well, if it's not that, how do you really continue? I don't know. I'm very, very interested though.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep. Should be interesting.
I guess I'll read this next because
okay, go ahead.
It's very in my own pocket here, only just because I have been watching One Piece and I'm now episode 128, 129, I think. Moving along. It's only like 900 more to go, but no. The One Piece is a new anime remake of the beloved manga headed to Netflix from Wit Studio. And it's called The One Piece instead of One Piece. Now, when I first saw this, I rolled my eyes hard. And I'm like, dear God. So not only 1,000 episodes, but now you're remaking it? What the hell is going on here? But the more I looked into it, I get what's going on here. So just before the One Piece anime's final saga begins, it was announced that a new remake of the beloved manga is currently in development for Netflix by Attack on Titan and Spy X Family's Wit Studio. So they are taking the manga and translating it instead of what they originally did was like, obviously they based the IP around the manga, but it only came 2 years after, and they both just went alongside each other, but in very different directions most of the time. So this is more of like, actually sticking to the source material a lot closer. Sort of like, Invincible does, of like sticking with its source material a lot closer. So knowing that, I can sort of be like, it's still a bit much because there's so much content of it and to have more. But even who is doing it, though? So the news was shared during Jump Festa's 2024 alongside a teaser and some gorgeous art for the series. While no release date or casting information was revealed, it was confirmed it will start from the East Blue Saga, just where the manga and original anime began. Wit Studio was founded in 2012 and has, in addition to working on... So in Japanese, it's not X, it's Cross. Spy Cross Family and the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan. Has also worked on Rankings of Kings and the first seasons of The Ancient Magus Bride and Vinland Saga. Now, Ancient Magus Bride's pretty good. I saw a little, not enough, but Vinland Saga I saw a lot of. If you have never seen this Vinland Saga, I want to say it's on Netflix. and you should definitely watch it. It is the most hardcore Viking thing you will ever see, and it's incredibly cool. I love Vinland Saga. So, I mean, in that art direction, the whole thing is like top tier stuff. So it's the same studio doing that. I'm like, dude, that sounds pretty hype then. Vinland Saga gets really gruesome, and I don't know, it's just badass. So,
all right.
And I mean, Attack on Titan, super popular, but man, is it great. So,
yeah.
So the One Piece with the studio who made that stuff sounds pretty cool to me. So, One Piece begins its legendary run as a manga from, I'm not going to say that, but way back in July 1997. It was then adapted into an anime in 1999 that is still going strong today with over 1,000 episodes. It also has a live-action remake on Netflix earlier this year, which ain't bad. I want to say it's the best live-action adaptation that we've gotten from an anime, but I still don't think it's like, I still don't know why you would want to do it, and it's still not nearly as good. I still think it's kind of pointless to do these live action things because anime goes so far outside the realm of what you could do in live action. It's kind of the point of anime. It's like, I don't see how you're supposed to recreate these scenes in real life. But especially but man, I'm been really enjoying One Piece. The best vibe is just like, it's very Studio Ghibli kind of, it's very Zelda. It's very just like heartwarming adventure, but with a lot of depth and care put into it. And it's just, I think, magical. I really, really have been enjoying my time watching it. So to see such a studio creating material from One Piece, that's already, I think, so great. Sounds really, really cool to me. So I'm interested. I really want to see what this turns
into. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So
Steam library here.
Well, we are not, because we already run an hour, and we'll pick up at next week, digging more into our Steam library. So let's just go ahead and just get into what we're watching and what we're playing.
All right. So I just started the Messenger maybe an hour before we came on here. I was looking for something new, something that's specifically portable I wanted, and I was like, I really love the convenience of the Switch, but ultimately I ended up getting it on Steam Deck just because I like having it in my Steam library forever, So and being able to play on the PC if I ever want to. So so I got it on there. I only played for like an hour. Really like it so far, right up my alley. I don't know why I haven't played this game before, but yeah, it's really fun. So
I mean, it's basically Ninja Gaiden 4. It's like Ninja Gaiden 1 through 3 are fantastic NES games, and the Messenger is just like, it obviously has that style. Well, I don't know. Do you know the whole gimmick of this? Maybe I shouldn't say. No, I'm not going to say.
Not really yet. I don't think so.
It changes. So just heads up. In a really, really, really cool way. But it's for sure just Ninja Gaiden 4 in my head, and I think it's fantastic. So,
gotcha. Okay.
I mean, the quality shines through so hard.
I really like what I've played so far. So, so I got that. Super Mario, or let me do Alan Wake 2 first. Alan Wake 2, I'm still trucking along. Yeah, I've just been so busy. I haven't played that much. I played for a while today. Absolutely loving the game still. Very, very good. I got to a point now where I can switch whenever I want. So what I've been doing, I was kind of trying to decide of how I wanted to proceed within the rest of the game.
Yeah, I don't know what to do myself with that.
Yeah, I went to IGN and I was curious what if I went to like walkthrough, like how they would do it.
Yeah.
So I've been following theirs. Theirs seems to do, like, for example, it does Saga twice in a row, then Alan 3 times, then Saga twice, Alan twice. So I don't know what their particular method is, but I'm just going to follow this and whatever, see how it goes, But yeah, I'm loving it. It's getting a little more, it's just so creepy. Anytime I'm out and I'm like, every encounter feels like, oh man, here we go. It doesn't feel like I love Resident Evil, for example, but those encounters don't always get me on.
This feels far more intense.
Yes. Every time I'm like, here we go. Got to get ready. But I'm loving it, man. The story, I really love going to the mine place, piecing together the the case and sticking the pictures where they go, doing the profiling. I think it's all so cool. I don't think any of it is annoying or unnecessary. I think it's all so good. So yeah, I'm loving this game so much. Cool. And finally, Super Mario RPG. So I had an interesting time with Super Mario RPG because when I first started, I was like, I had heard so many good things about it. And so I went into it kind of thinking, okay, this is going to be awesome. And so I started, and the first few hours I was like, this is okay. I'm not really loving this. It's all right. I kind of felt like I was doing like the same thing. I wasn't really loving it. And then even despite that, though, I still wanted to play it every day. And I got to a point where I just started really like playing a lot. And I think the more I leveled up, the more abilities I got, even though most times I would just use my normal attack, new weapons. And I don't know, as that started to happen, I started kind of enjoying it more. And the battles started to become more fun. And new crew members. Like once I got Bowser and Peach, I was like, oh, I love these three. This is like my crew. And yeah, I'm not going to say that I did like a complete 180, like, oh my God, I think the game is amazing now. But I do totally understand why people love it now. I think it is a very good game. It has some shortcomings, but then again, it came out a long time ago and it influenced games in a really big way. I can see that now clearly. So yeah, so I ended up coming around on it quite a bit. I still probably don't love it as much as some of you guys do, but I did really end up enjoying it. So I'm glad I played it. And that was the last mainline Mario game I had never really played, So yeah. So I'm all caught up now.
I feel you're having a similar journey to where, okay, remember, so I was playing Final Fantasy 6 and I was like a few hours in and I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I get it, but it just feels so in the past and whatever. But then, like, as I kept going, I kept falling more and more in love with it to where now I'm like close to about to beat it. And now I'm like, oh, I totally understand and get it. And I guess it's just takes a while where that game's very long to where this the Super Mario RPG is definitely
much
not.
shorter.
Super Mario RPG is like, 12 hours, 15 tops to where Final Fantasy 6 was 40 hours. I feel like I've put like 30 hours into this thing. And I'm still not done. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was not expecting this. But Super Mario RPG, though, my biggest praise towards the game, because I'm about to finish it myself here. I've been playing it a lot. I want to say pretty much every 2 hours you can expect, it feels very different. Like, okay, well, first 2 hours I have this weapon. Next 2 hours I now have this weapon. Next 2 hours I now have this weapon, right? Or next 2 hours now I have this new party member. Next 2 hours now I'm in a completely different environment. Like the pacing is really good. You never feel like you're in one area for too long or doing the same thing too long. They're really good about throwing new things your way. And I think that's like my biggest praise towards the game is it feeling fresh throughout and throwing new things for you.
So. Yep. That's what I liked about it. I'm glad I ended up playing it. I'm glad I came around and still has some shortcomings that maybe not love it as much, I think, but I definitely ended up liking it quite a bit more than I was enjoying in the beginning, So
nice. I mean, now that you're done, 1 through 10, let's hear it. I mean, where are you throwing?
I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 or something like that. Okay. Somewhere in that range. I think it's definitely a good game. I think it has a lot of charm to it. I think it's very fun. It is very simple, but then again, it was one of the first, to really try to approach it that way. So yeah, no, I ended up enjoying it. And you know what? There was other things I didn't do in the game that I'm sure you could have done, some extra things that I never checked out. So yeah, but overall, really, really liked it. But I know we mentioned it, but like Alan Wake 2 right now, the reason why I'm so hesitant on terms of like what's game of the year is because I'm just loving it so much. I need to see how I feel by the end of it, Right now,
which is incredible. One of mine as well. I have to have it done before I'm going to make a call here because I'm bouncing between 3, and I definitely want to finish them all before I say anything. So, okay.
Yep.
So I got around to playing Asgard's Wrath 2. I've been pretty sour on VR, I'd say. Sure. I just don't think it's quite there. The only great experience I've had when it comes to a game is Half-Life Alyx. Anything else is like, oh, this is cool, but after a bit, I get pretty tired of it, and it's just kind of like, it's neat for like 10 minutes, and then I'm like, I'm over it, right? Half-Life Alyx was the only thing that actually I thoroughly enjoyed throughout the experience and didn't get tired of it or anything. But it's like, okay, one title doesn't do enough to purchase a whole platform for. I'm not saying that it's the only good thing. There's plenty of other, again, good experiences. But for me, I just kept getting really like, I never thought it hit the quality of, well, if I turn on my PlayStation or Xbox or Switch or anything else, I feel like I'm having way better gaming experiences. So even though I'm in VR and I'm like, oh, this is cool, like I got tired over the gimmick over the years. It's like it doesn't do anything for me anymore. Just the fact that I'm in VR and now the game can be a lot worse, but because I'm VR, I'm gonna rate it higher. I'm not in that mode anymore. I've all of that new freshness of being wowed by the VR. I've surpassed at this point, and now I just want a good game. And VR can help make it be a little fun or a little better experience and all of that if it was already solid to begin with. But I just never feel like things can stack when it comes to I don't know, Tears of the Kingdom or an Alan Wake compared to something you're going to play in VR. It's like not even close. So I'm just not going to play in that space. But anyway, Asgard 2 came out. IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. A lot of reviewers are throwing 4 out of 5s, 5s out of 5s, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Greatly high. This has got to be the highest rated review scores for a VR title outside of maybe Half-Life Alyx, but it could be superior to it. I'm curious about that when looking as a whole. I guess we can see right now. Let's see, like, I know Metacritic's not the end-all be-all. Calm down, but let's see here. So, Asgard's Wrath 2. If I could spell it correctly. Here we go. Oh, they do the number 2, but the actual title is 2 I's. Anyway, so sitting at a 94. That's
wow,
pretty high. Yeah.
that's cool.
So I was like, well, screw it. I bought it day one release. I actually technically pre-ordered it the night before, and it came out. Yeah, it came out last Friday. And I'm gonna put about, let's say, 3 hours, 4 hours in at this point.
Okay. What do you think?
I'm starting to wonder if I'm just a VR hater because I'm like,
well, listen, if it's 10 out of 10 VR, the way they talked about it, I would think that your reaction would be stronger than what it is now. So hey, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just not as good as
I mean, that's the thing. It's not nearly as good of experience as any of these other games that are coming out on other platforms. But, it is in VR. And it's a lot better than other stuff that I've played. I'll give it that. But I'm still just sitting there like, man, this is like a 7 at best. I mean, I don't know. It looks like, first of all, the graphic aesthetics. I mean, you're talking like, let's say 360 levels. It's not bad. But it's different because you know what it's like. It's like a mobile game that's like top end, to where like it like shiny, but it still has like rigid edges. I don't know how to word it. It's just it looks great in a lot of aspects, but like if you look at like a rock or a wall or anything, it looks pretty rough. I mean it looks like a mobile game. It really does. That's the best way I can do it, to where like some stuff super shiny, but as a whole, it still looks, I don't know, pretty mobile aesthetic, like what you would get out of if you had a top end phone right now playing whatever game. That's pretty much how it would look. But I don't know. So it's like in that 7 range for me. It's like it's pretty good, but I don't understand this like, oh my God, I'm completely blown away. This is the best experience I've ever had. I'm so happy VR is a thing now. This is the game changer. I just don't feel that. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally fair. Hey, it happens
I
sometimes,
don't
you know?
know. I'm playing combat, for example, right? Okay, this is cool. I got a sword and shield, blocking stuff, attacking. But when I'm attacking things, I don't feel any like when I'm playing any other like action game, like God of War, Zelda, whatever. I'm feeling the impacts of the hit pretty strongly, and it feels great. But like in this, I feel like I'm just kind of like awkwardly swiping away. I feel like I'm just like going through the enemies when I attack, and unless I'm seeing number indicators, I can't even like really tell if I'm really hitting it right or not. Or it just feels, I don't know, feels like better than like Wii Day stuff, but it's
Right.
like I'm playing Red Steel 3 or something. It's like,
I
like
gotcha.
I don't know. It doesn't I don't feel the impacts of things that great, and it feels very gimmicky and very just weird. And I'm pretty underwhelmed. And
Yeah.
I dropped $60 on this and expecting it to be, but when I watched any of the reviews or read any of the reviews, they all keep saying, yeah, it's a little dated compared to like current games on other platforms, but for VR, it's amazing. And it's like, yeah, that may be the case, but I I don't. Then why are you throwing a 10 at it? I mean, I guess you
Right.
could then say it's a 10 out of 10, uh, considering VR,
Right.
but I don't know
Despite
that.
that, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't. It's not nearly as good, but they're saying like it. You're talking like full blown 90-hour RPG, 100-hour RPG. The IGN reviewer, he put 103 hours into it, all in VR. I'm like, dear God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm only 3 hours in. I'm gonna keep playing it. I already bought it. I'm really trying to get convinced by it. So far, I don't really see it, but maybe I come back in 2 or 3 weeks and I'm like 30, 40 hours in, and I'm like, okay, this game's a lot more in depth than I ever thought. And yeah, the combat, because I saw some reviews saying the combat was the weakest part of the game. And yeah, I mean, the combat's kind of cool in the level of like throwing an axe and then doing the thing that Half-Life Alex does, where like you can pull it back towards you and it just like do like this, like throw it halfway across the room, it's sticking to a wall, and then you like pull a tether back and it zooms back into your hand. It's like, oh, it's pretty neat, and it hits stuff on the way back.
Right. Right.
But again, that feedback just doesn't like. I'm playing with the Oculus controllers, and they're pretty like great in the way its feedback does, but it still just doesn't feel that solid. I don't know. But yeah, I saw a lot of people say that, but it's more of like about the adventure and the RPG and the wowness of it and the full world as a whole and how massive it is and all of that. And so, maybe I just need more time with it, and maybe it's just a
Yeah.
matter of like you with Super Mario RPG, to where like in the beginning you were whatever and start to like it the more you get into it. So I'm too early. Maybe that's all it is. But
Yeah. It could be, but I'm really curious to see what your thoughts are a week later. I have a feeling this may be, you know what? I could be totally wrong, but I feel like this could also be, oh my God, there's not enough, like, okay, most people, when they think of VR, some people enjoy it, right? But I don't think almost anyone would be like, this is as good as a normal game, right?
yeah,
So now that they
it's
got
just
something that
not.
maybe they feel really good about it, then they start making the crazy claims, right? Oh my, this is just as good as a full blown RPG, but is it really? I don't
Let's
know.
say I was playing it on a TV, right?
Right.
And I'm
Right.
sitting down with a controller playing this game, dude. A 6 at best. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that would definitely make it worse. Yeah.
So it's like so much is riding on the fact that it is VR, and you're like, whoa, the world's all around me. This is cool, and walking up to an object on the wall and all of that. But again, I'm years into having a VR. I'm over all of that stuff. I'm not being wowed by like walking around a world of VR anymore. Now I just want the game to be good, and it's not really doing that for me. Of
Right.
like, it's okay, but it's 6 or 7 at best. I wouldn't even want to say 7. I'm at a 6. Just how the game is. But I just started. We'll see. All right. Something I was blown away by, Tekken 8. I downloaded the demo. Again, I'm sitting there trying to pick my fighter, and I am landing on Mortal Kombat. Funny enough, I got coming as like a Christmas gift, so I'm not playing it currently. But by Christmas, by next week, I'll be able to talk Mortal Kombat 1, and that's where I'm putting my eggs in because I'm trying to decide. I mean, you got Street Fighter 6, that, and Tekken 8, and I'm like, well, I can't be playing multiple fighters, and I suck at fighters, so I really just want to stick to one. But I wanted to try out this Tekken 8. Maybe I do want to go ahead and jump over to Tekken. Anyway, played the demo, blown away by it. I mean, this is Unreal Engine 5. This looks incredible, plays incredible. Talk about feeling the hits. I mean, the demo's pretty fucking strong. And you get, like, the first chapter of the game. There's a lot of meat with this demo, just fighting different characters versus mode against the computers or playing 2-player or whatever. You get to play a bit of how the arcade mode works, of like ranking through arcade. So you almost get like a 360 avatar type character. Street Fighter did the same thing, basically, of like, okay, you're this custom character that you create, and then you go and do all of these like online matches, but it's through a like arcade ranking system thing. I don't know, but it was really, really neat of just going through the arcade stuff, going through the main story. They also have a mode of Tekken 8 of like, okay, you have the main story, but then you can also play these like side stories with each character having their own little stories to also tell that you can play through. But just the way it plays and looks, just when you're in the combat. I mean, I played Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6 and now this, and I feel this does look and feel the best when it comes to all three. I'm shocked at how, I don't know, just great it is. And now it has me being like, man, I don't know, I might pick this up at release. It's really sold me. So I really urge people to try this demo out and see what you think. I think you're going to be blown away by it. I think it's great. So
that sounds awesome. Okay, yeah. Very cool. I haven't played Tekken game in a long time, so.
It also gave a bit to where you can go through each game and get like its synopsis of the whole title of what happened in the story. So I just went and watched them all 1 through 7, and it just gave a little
that's sick.
Summary of each game. So now I'm actually caught up with knowing what the characters are and what they've done in the past and all that. And it's led up to this point, and I didn't know they connected so well story-wise, but they really have. Of like, now it's like at some big major climax that's been building since the first game, and everything is like overtaken by this evil guy that has so much of a big army that he has at his disposal over the last couple games of build up. And the first battle is basically like demon versus angel, and it was super epic. And I really loved it. So
that's awesome.
Huge praise there.
Very cool.
Yep.
I like that.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode.
Yep. Wrapping it up. I'm going to go play some Messenger, I think. Maybe some Alan Wake. We'll see. But yeah, man, we'll be back next week. Actually, next week, Sunday's Christmas Eve?
Yeah,
we'll figure something out. We'll figure out a way.
That I've been thinking about the last 2 weeks. I don't know what to really do about. So I'm thinking maybe we just skip an episode and then just don't have another episode till So okay, let me think of this through here. So it'll be the 24th. It'll be Christmas. We won't have an episode then, and then we'll record again the 31st. I think that's total. Yeah. We'll just skip an episode for Christmas sake.
Yeah.
And come back the week after. And then that'll give enough time for enough news to build up and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be super dead anyway. So
yeah. And my goal is hopefully during the break to play through Alan Wake, but we'll see.
Yeah. And that'll give us enough time to where we can just really not think about trying to play something just so we have something to talk about. We have a good enough time break here.
Right,
really just get into the meat of some things. So.
I know Alan Wake 2 is not like some 40, 50-hour game, but when I'm playing it, it feels that way. But it's a weird feeling because it's like I'm enjoying this so much. I don't want to rush it, but it feels huge to me for some reason because I feel like there's so much to look at, so much to investigate.
I thought I was halfway through, but you're saying like you switch back and forth how many freaking times?
According to this, it looks like
What's the halfway point? I would love to know.
Well, here, let me just tell you, right? So there is 9 chapters that Saga plays, right? Including chapter 0. So let's just say 10.
Okay.
And there are 8 chapters for Alan. So
I guess I'm only like,
total.
it feels like I'm out like a fourth of the way through then, or a third of the way at best.
So I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm about to wrap that up. So I'm like a third of the way through, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll see you
Later.